Hey friends, in our time together today, I want us to learn the tune Derry Air, that you'll also know as Londonderry Air. More commonly, Danny Boy. Right? There's a story. We'll get to that at the end. Um, in one of my earliest videos, I did use this tune to see if I could figure out how to play a tune kind of from memory, but we didn't really walk through it to learn it, and I want to do that today. But the other reason I want to use this tune is it has some specific trouble spots that will help develop our skills. And so that's my main purpose out of our learning this tune. So I'll demonstrate the tune standing so you can see my hands with minimal ornamentation. I'll then talk about any trouble spots that I think you might experience. We'll talk a little about ornaments, and after that, we'll share a little bit of information on the history of the tune, which is not really a lot with this one, but a bit. As usual, in playing the tune, I'll stand so you can see my fingers. Okay, so what trouble spots do I think you'll find? One is it's a very fluid tune. I listened to a number of versions, including one of my favorite, which is Yo-Yo Ma on the cello, just to get his flavor there, and I thought it was great. But it's so fluid. That's going to test some of your skills. But the real challenges, you've got to get comfortable playing the C natural, and I'm sure you are by now. But there are some step ups from the B to the second octave E there in the opening. You may need to work on that a little while. You might break, you might have some trouble with that. So try and work on that phrase to be able to jump cleanly from the B to the second octave E. I believe the real challenge comes on the third line transitioning to the fourth, where you're playing the three D's in a row at the bottom of the second octave, and you're going straight up to the B on the second octave. You're going to be tempted to overblow that. Work on that. Here's a practice tip for that. Before you play the tune, start at the bottom and go a whole scale, 2 octaves. Or you could just start at the second octave. And notice, pay attention to that B and the A, how you're playing them, and then remember that. But the bigger challenge is you're going to be playing the D with that index finger off, and then you're going to have to get it back down real quickly as you jump. What a lot of folks might do is play the 3 Ds, pause, and then tongue into that high B. And that gives you that little bit more punch, but it might be harder than you want for the tune. So play with that. As far as ornaments go, remember I said it's a fairly fluid tune. Yes, still a slower tune. We're still fine-tuning some of our skills. You're going to find the faster tunes are easier once we do that. I didn't say easy. So, ornaments, play them as you like. You got a lot of really good transition ornament opportunities for some cuts and taps as you're climbing and as you're descending, and especially on those repeat notes, great opportunities for you to throw in some cut-like ornaments to differentiate between the notes. Experiment with that as you want. I don't want to dictate that on this song because it's not necessarily in the tune. But like I often say, experiment with that. See what's going to work well for you. Now, on the history of the tune, this is a tune that is so popular that the history just gets lost in the noise of its popularity. It's an old tune, we know that. The tune itself, set the words aside for a minute. In 1851, a woman was traveling and she heard a musician playing what became known as Londonderry Air. And she asked him if she could transcribe it because a friend of hers was collecting ancient Irish tunes. So she sent it to her friend after transcribing it in Dublin, along with some description of the tune. And then this tune was included in one of the 1855 collections, the Ancient Music of Ireland collection. The tune, like many, had no name. I've looked through some of these collections. It's just like it might say hymn or it might say jig. And that's all some of these say. So it was believed that the tune had come from the area around Londonderry, and so it was named Londonderry Air. Now, so that was at least, the tune's at least middle of the 19th century. And I'm sure it's a lot older than that. Some people have stories of it going back into the 18th century. But the lyrics we know that go with the tune, that go with the song, Danny Boy, were penned in the early 20th century, actually by an Englishman. So that's the story behind the tune. It's just a great ancient tune. The song itself is a different issue. So I hope that helps. Enjoy this tune. Experiment with it. Get to know it and grow in playing it. And use this tune to work on some of those skills, especially those jumps from the low second octave to the high notes on the second octave. Until next time, my friends, this is Scott Shade. Happy low D whistling.